Hey friends, welcome back. So today I'm going to give you my thoughts on the Wish medium chassis frames. Alright, so I've included some clips in this impressions video. I just want to point out that my ankle bone is absolutely bruised to hell from the original cuff bolts on these rollerblade blanks and just hasn't fully healed up yet. So, still taking it easy and just trying to get some, tricks and clips in. So hopefully you don't judge them too hard. I rode the Wish frames on my FRUFRs, absolutely hated them then. I tried them on the factions and thought they were okay, but really wanted to try them on the rollerblade blanks just because there's some differences with the skate that made me want to try them again just to give the frames the benefit of the doubt before kind of giving my opinions on it. So I've been riding the 269 millimeter wheelbase. So that's basically from center of the axle to the center of the axle. And that is the size for my foot size. These frames are the medium. So they allow up to a 68 millimeter on the outside, 60 millimeter on the inside. I've been riding them with the 65 on the outside and 58 on the inside. And part of the reason you have two different wheel sizes is because this is a high-low frame. So it means that the way that it's designed is you have bigger wheels on the outside, smaller wheels on the inside, and that's to give you either a all flat or you can use slightly different size diameter wheels on the middle, and then that gives you the ability to kind of rocker the wheels as well. The biggest benefit of these frames is that they're intended for you to use bigger wheels than most other flat frames and still give you wheel bite protection. I'll talk about that here in a little bit. And then, the wheels kind of get pushed out too. So these two wheels are closer together. And then that gives you a pretty big, deep and wide H block. Alright, so let's talk about the things that I like with these frames. So these frames are a super hard and fast and durable material. So what that means is that they are very rigid, which is good for speed when you're skating, landings when you're taking impacts, but also grinding because that means they slide very fast. All things that I noticed to be true. The H block on these is absolutely massive. So I did not get wheel bite at all when I was skating ledges, rails, basically just anything. I did not notice really much significance of the weight. I did notice kind of a little bit towards the end of the session because my legs were starting to get tired and I could feel my feet dragging a little bit. But other than that, not a big deal. Let's talk about some of the features that weren't up to my preference. So the frames, this is probably the biggest complaint that there is, but the sides of the H blocks, I don't know if you can see that, has plastic that kind of corners off here. And so basically when you turn, that plastic scrapes and can cause you to slip out. I basically spent an entire session just carving to wear this down so that way I wouldn't slip out. This H block, because it is so thick and deep, showing you right here, it was really hard for me to get boot down. Like when I was riding my FRUFRs, I couldn't physically do it. When I was in the factions, it was a little better. Even with the rollerblade blanks, like I was struggling. Like I would get on a trick and I would really have to torque into it. And what that means is, if I were going to continue skating these, I'd probably take them to a curb or Dremel them just to like wear down these outside edges some more. So that way I could get boot down because it did feel like I was noticeably tall on them. Second thing that's not really my preference is like I know these frames are intended for big wheels, but I wanted to try them. But I have found that I like when the center of the wheel is closer to the bottom of the boot because it makes me feel more secure and solid in what I'm doing. It's not a fault to the frame, it's just my preference, but these do feel incredibly tall, but that should be a given because these are meant for riding bigger wheels. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, because it's a taller ride height, because the H block is taller, it really means that it's harder to get the boot down. And so, to do it, you either have to modify the frame or you got to be riding something that has a really wide sole plate just so you're getting that boot down. One other thing I thought was kind of odd is it requires a frame bolt that has almost like a pancake head where it's very flat. And that doesn't bother me like if you're buying these new, but if you're buying these second hand, I would just recommend you check to see what comes with them, because if you don't have that and you're just using stock, these center wheels are going to catch on the head of that, and then you're going to have to find replacement parts, which could be a real pain in the ass. But other than that, there wasn't really anything else that didn't live up to my expectation. When I rode these on the FRU-FR, I was absolutely terrified to try topsides in them just because the cuff on those skates is stiffer. It's got a little narrower of a sole plate, but also these frames are sticking so far down below the sole plate. I just felt like when I was going to land on it, I was going to overshoot and not even connect my sole plate and basically slip out of my tricks. And I didn't even feel like trying it. I was able to do it on rails and ledges today with my blanks. So, it's doable and didn't have a problem today. So it really is probably like skate specific again. So yeah. I'm going to compare these just a little bit to the Icon AG60 frames so you can get a difference in height. But basically, I'm riding 59 millimeter wheels on these, and the basically the top of the sole or the top of the frame to the center of the axles is pretty much the same as like the Kaiser Fluid 4s, so it's a very low ride height. And you can see that this frame fits completely under the sole plate, and so that means that this frame is sitting an extra like 5-6 millimeters into the skate, so that kind of gives you a little perspective of what the difference is there. And then you can kind of see height wise and blockiness just as a comparison. Alright, so what do I think of these frames? They are obviously well built, and they are super durable and super stocky, and that is great because there's nothing worse than a flimsy floppy frame or something that just feels absolutely cheap and that's going to break on you. For me, I'm not necessarily a big fan of the super deep H block and all this wheel protection just to get the benefit out of the bigger wheels. I feel like for me there's other ways I can achieve that and be more comfortable in my skating. I did notice that with how big these wheels are, they stick out in front of the skate quite a bit, so when I am skating, turning felt a little awkward, and you can see that in some of my clips that I took today. Is just that turning, it just felt very train tracky. And like people will say anti-rocker is train tracky, but I don't feel like anti-rocker was as bad as this was train tracky. Just my opinion. Obviously these frames are the best for people who want as big of a wheel as you can get on an aggressive skate. That comes with trade-off, more weight, a lot more bulkiness, and probably need to break these in a lot more. So to ride these, I would recommend that you ride them with a skate that has really wide sole plates or is pretty flexy. I think if you ride them with something that has a very tall or stiff cuffs, narrow sole plates, it's going to be very hard to enjoy them unless you modify the frames themselves. I don't have any qualms with these frames. I think they're built well. They ride really well. you know, if I wasn't riding the AG60s or anti-rocker frames, I'd probably like ride these more. But I don't know. You know, I think it's a great frame. Is it the everyday frame for me? Probably not. Like, I feel like I would consider riding these more, but I feel like I'm having so much fun on other frames that this isn't just like checking a box for me, like right out of the box, because it means I got to modify it. It means I have to break it in a lot just to get it to work for me. And that's not something I'm interested really in doing because I skate so much park. You know, if you skate these or if you have any questions on them, you know, feel free to let me know what you think. Happy to answer any questions you have. Thanks all for checking in, and we'll catch you next time.
Welcome. My name is Amelia. We're at the Arvada skate park today. And I hope you enjoy your things. Well, you're welcome. Thank you.